Blisters is another session of our wonderful class. So let's start by reading this rhymes. 10 centimeters makes 1 decimeter. 10 millimeters makes 1 centimeter. Okay. 10 centimeters makes 1 decimeter. 10 millimeters makes 1 centimeters. And that leads us to the class of today. You know, it's not really difficult. It's the very simplest class that I've ever come across with. And I know you're going to love it. It is not as difficult as you think it is in your head. When you have an idea of what I just called right now to you, you're going to understand that this is the very simplest side of tape measures and interpretation. All you need to just understand is that 10 centimeters makes 1 decimeter and 10 millimeters makes 1 centimeter. Does that really make sense? Let's check it out on the board. Now, why are we making those rhymes? So that we can refresh your memory back to what we are going to be discussing through this class. Now, for those of you who can't see with what I'm writing on the board, I'm going to be coming up with a possible image, right, that can guide through whatsoever I'm going to be explaining here. And for those that can actually see the board, kudos to you, and let's get into the class proper. Now, looking at my board now, I have 2 different markings as my illustration guide to this particular side of our class, which we are going to be talking about the metric type of interpretation of our tape measures. Now, we've discussed the imperial, which talks about the inches side of the tape measure and how to use it, how to interpret it, how to calculate the fraction. And today we're going to be treating the metric, right? This is the imperial and this is the metric. The metric talks about the centimeter. You have decimal in centimeters and you also have decimals when it comes to the imperial. Now, how you're going to fraction it or how you're going to name it is up to you. But understand that at the end of the day, you should be able to interpret both sides of this tape measure and how to measure it. Now, on the imperial side of the tape measure, if you start from the metallic side of the tape rule to measure, you're still going to get your actual inches. And even if you start from this point, you're still going to get your measurement accurately. But on the metric side of the tape rule, it is not applicable like that. That is why we always emphasize that if you look at your ruler, most ruler comes with inches and centimeters. Every object measurement starts from point 0. And that is why we have 0 point on our ruler as our indicator. Whatever you're measuring, make sure that your measurement starts at point 0. So you will not be messing up with different decimal point, or I call them hash lines or unit. You will not be missing out any unit, because one unit could be a mistake for you on your measurement and you will end up, mixing up your measurement, and then your outcome, your result would not be perfect. Let's get into the video proper. Now, we say that 10 centimeter equals 1 decimeter. What does that mean? The whole of this line from point 0 to where you have 10 centimeters here is what we refer to as 1 decimeter. Now, how do you get your centimeter? Because 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. So where do you refer to as millimeter? The tiny hash lines that you are seeing from 1 centimeter to where you have 2 centimeter is what we refer to as millimeter. Now, the millimeter has a dividing number, right? Which on the imperial side of the tape rule is what you refer to as half, right? Is what you refer to as half, which is the 0.5 or 1/2, right? It's the same thing as the centimeter has an indicator or a dividing number. And that particular dividing number is what we also call millimeters. You're going to call them millimeters, but now a point after that dividing number is also a decimal point when you're talking about the imperial. Remember that if you are using this as 0.5, the next number would be 0.6, right? 0.7, and then you have 0.8. Now, that's the same thing that's applicable when you are working with the centimeter. Now, when you get to this point, this is 0.5 centimeter, or you call it 5 millimeter. The line that is not as long as the centimeter line, that's what I'm referring to now, right? Now, the next point after that, which is actually this one, would be 0.6 centimeter, 0.7 centimeter, 0.8 centimeter, 1 centimeter, or 2 centimeter. Now, why are we using centimeters and millimeters to explain the metric side of the tape rule? It is very, very simple, because they have more calibrations, or they have more hash lines or they have more units for you to calculate, you must have to understand each of these centimeter and how they can interpret to the imperial side of the table that can actually give you inches, right? If you don't want to be switching it, you can stick to the centimeter side of the table and you work perfectly with it and you still arrive at your accurate result. But then again, let's move further on how we can understand better. We said that 10 centimeters makes 1 decimeter and 10 millimeters makes 1 centimeter. Now, this is what I have already explained where we call the millimeter and the centimeter. Take for instance that this is 0.0 and your object is measuring from this 0.0 down to this point here. So you are going to count. You have 0 point here, so you have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So we say the distance from here now to this point is about 1, right? 2, 3, 4, right? 4 centimeters, but it's actually not really 4 centimeters because it moves beyond that to this point. So you're going to say 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5. So this is automatically going to give you a 4.5 centimeter, or when you want to convert that to millimeter, you can say 45 millimeters, because it is 10 millimeters that makes 1 centimeter. So you can actually say 10 millimeters, 20 millimeters, 30 millimeters, 40 millimeters, 45 millimeters. So that is how you convert. Now 10 millimeters makes 1 centimeter and then 10 centimeters makes 1 decimeter. So now let's proceed. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 lines, the longest line to get 10 centimeters. You count 10 longest line to get 10 centimeters. Now you have 10 millimeters that makes 1 centimeter. So if you count from here, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, the middle one, which is the divider, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the next one is a centimeter. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it is 10 hash line or 10 millimeters that makes 1 centimeter. So now, for instance, if you want to measure, like I said, your object must start at 0. Looking at this step rule now, this is my centimeter, the longest line, right? This is the millimeters that I'm talking about. From this point to this point is 10 millimeters. The 10 millimeters is divided into 2, and this number here is called 0.5. You can call it 0.5 centimeter, or you call it 5 millimeters. 0.5 centimeters or 5 millimeters. Now the next one you count is second centimeter, which is the next longest line, and then you count 10 hash lines. From this point to this point, you have 10 hash lines, and the 10 hash lines is divided by 5, and this point here is what we refer to as 0.5 centimeter or 5 millimeters. Now going to the side of the board, all right, I specifically wrote this out. I said count your centimeter to the nearest fifth to get the actual measurement. That means if actually you placed your object at 0.0 and you measured, and at the end of the day your measurements could not go all the way from this point here to maybe the actual centimeter, which is supposed to be at this point, right? Which is supposed to be at this point. I'm going to be using my picture as an illustration. Okay, you needed 5 cm, and then from 0.0 to this is supposed to be your 5 cm, right? The drawing that I just made. But unfortunately or fortunately, you had your object or your ruler coming to this point here, getting to this point here. What do? You have 5 centimeter, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. That automatically gives your object a measuring length of 5.3 centimeter or 53 millimeters, right? Because you're going to be counting 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 50, starting from the beginning point now. So the point here, whether it be at this spot, so if it gets to this divider, to this particular number that is the point that is almost as long as the cm board line, You can also say it is 5.5 centimeter or 55 millimeters. So that is how you can actually interpret using your centimeter side of the tape rule. And I'm still going to show you one more time, even with my image going to be popping up. This is, let's say, 2 centimeter, right? Because this metallic has covered 1 full centimeter with 10 millimeters, right? Let's say this is my starting point 0. So from the distance between this point and this point is where my object stops, which is 4 centimeters. All right, or my object started from this point, which is point 0, to this point here, which is 0.5 of the millimeters, right? The millimeters divider, which is 0.5 centimeter or 5 millimeter. This is where my object stops. So I can equally say that this is 4.5 centimeter length or 45 millimeters length. So now let's proceed. Moving away from here, because I feel I've explained up to this point the way we are having, but let me still put that as a take home. Sorry, I'm switching my camera like that. This, from this point here to this point here, is referred to as 1 centimeter, and it has 10 millimeters. 1 centimeter and it has 10 millimeters. This is what we refer to as millimeters. This hash lines or this decimal or this unit is what we refer to as millimeters. If you count them on your centimeter side of the table, it's going to give you 10 hash lines or 10 units in total. And that is what makes 1 centimeter. Now, the point from in between these your hash lines, you have 1, and then you have your longest line, and you have the next one. You can refer to them as millimeter. That's what I just explained. These tiny unit lines or hash lines is referred to as millimeters. So just have it in your mind that it is 10 of these millimeters, which is the tiny hash lines, that gives you 1 centimeter. So if you were to measure 20 or 10 or 2 centimeters, for instance, if you are measuring 2 centimeters, it means you're going to be having 20 millimeters that makes 2 centimeter. It is 30 millimeters that makes 3 centimeters. It is 40 millimeters that makes 4 centimeters. So you count it, so on and so forth, right? So let's see how we can convert this to inches. Okay, when we say that 3.8 is the same thing as saying 38. You can see what I just explained now. It means 3.8 centimeter, right? My centimeter line. This is 1 centimeter. All right, this is 1 centimeter, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 long line, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this happens to be the 10th line, which is the longest, and also assumed to be my centimeter. So now this is what I refer to as millimeter, and then I have 10 of this to give me 1 centimeter. So if I have an extra 1, 2, 3 of these tiny lines, and my object is measuring from point 0 to this point here, I can say that this is equals 1.3 centimeter or 13 millimeters. That is what I just explained to you now. All right, so let's go back to what I was about to explain before that happened. All right, so you can see now that where 3.8 centimeter equals 38 millimeters, that is what you're supposed to do initially. Now 1 inch equals 2.5 centimeter. 2.5 centimeter. So for you to have 1 inch on the imperial side of the tape rule, you must have to measure 2.5 centimeter on the metric side of the tape rule to get 1 inch. You can see there's not even up 5 centimeters, right? It's just 2.5. It's not even up to 5 centimeters that makes 1 inch. It's just 2.5. And what does that mean? Let me show you. This is 2 centimeter, right? 2.5, which is the distance, the whole of this is 1, right? Let's say this is 1 centimeter. You have the longest line here activated, right? That's 1 centimeter. This is 2 centimeter. This is 2.5. Now the whole of this point to this point is 1 inch. If I hold my tape at that point here, yeah, that's 2.5, and I switch, you see that my hand is registered exactly on my 1 inch point on the imperial step rule. Do you see what I'm saying? So now 5 centimeters, right? 2.5 plus 2.5 would give you what? do the calculation yourself. So I count another from the here now. I count another hash line 1, 2, then 2.5 here. Okay, 2.5 would be here if I'm counting again, and that is going to give me 2 inches. And that is exactly what you're seeing here. So if 2.5 centimeters gives you 1 inch, it therefore means that 5 centimeters, because 2.5, let's do the math. 2.5, I don't want to be over exaggerating, plus 2.5, this is 0, 224 plus 1 that you carried over, that makes it 5. So this is definitely 5. So 5 centimeters gives us 2 inches. 7.5 centimeters gives us 2.5 inches, so and so on and so forth. I'm going to calculate that to be sure, because I'm just giving you random calculation in my head, but I believe that I'm correct. All right, so if 5 centimeters gives you 2 inches, it means 10 centimeters gives you 4 inches, right? 10 centimeters gives you 4 inches, and that could be 10 centimeters, which equals 1 decimeter, right? So that means that you have 1 decimeter making 4 inches. Okay, let me not be over exaggerating, let's keep on going. So now 10 inches, you can actually say that 10 inches equals 2.5 times 10 to give you 25 centimeter. 1 inch makes 2.5 centimeter equals 1 inch. 10 inches equals 2.5 times 10. 2.5 times 10. So if you had 2.5, multiply it in 10 places to get the answers, and that is what is going to give you 10 inches. Now you have 12 inches equal 2.5 times 12. So if you're doing 2.5 centimeters, multiply that by 12 to get your 12 inches. 2.5 by 12 to get 12 inches. 25 inches is going to be 2.5 times 25. You keep multiplying it by its number. 50 is going to be 50 times, 2.5 times 50 to get your accurate measurement. Now you say 60 inches. You're going to do 60, right, times 2.5. 2.5 times 60, rather 2.5 times 60 to get your accurate measurement on the table, which I believe is going to be 150, right? So now that is all that I have for you, but always remember this rhyme, that 1 centimeter equals 10 centimeter, meter equals 1000 millimeters, 1 meter equals 100 centimeter, 1000 meter rather, 1 feet equals 12 inches, 1 kg equals 100 grams. 1000 gram. 1 gram equals 1000 milligram, and 1 liter equals 1000 milliliters. Thank you so much for having me in this class, and I'm so much grateful. Please, if you are a returning subscriber, you are the reason why we keep this channel running. Thank you so much for showing your little support, and we do really appreciate it. Thank you for always turning on, liking, sharing, and commenting, subscribing to our channel. It is something that we hold to our heart so dearly. We cannot take that for granted. And if you are a new subscriber, or you are just seeing our channel for the very first time and you like what we're doing, please do well to give it a thumbs up, like, share, and comment. Also share this, turn this post notification bell so you get notified anytime we drop a video on the channel. A link of our previous video would be on the description box. Do well to click and go watch out the simplest things that we've been talking about when it comes to fashion designing and everything that has to do with lifestyle, and how to keep it going and simple. So we are actually running an offline series for now, so most of the videos are actually requested videos, and that shouldn't be a mode of discouragement, because we are going to be dropping content back to back that are informative and educative as well. Thank you so much once again, and we love you. Bye.